This episode is sponsored by United Refrigeration and Westermeyer Industries, revolutionizing your HVACR experience. Visit URI.com for all your HVACR needs, offering real-time inventory, personalized pricing, and a nearby stock feature. Access quick pick replacement parts and branch details effortlessly. With 350 plus fully stocked locations across North America, our knowledgeable staff are ready to assist with the solutions you need. Exclusive offer. Use code ARPOD on URI.com to get a $10 gift card when purchasing the Westermeyer oil float, part number W4300-38F. These high-performance floats are not just compatible with their own oil separators, but also available as a crossover model, conveniently stocked at United Refrigeration. That's code ARPOD to claim your $10 gift card. Visit URI.com now.
The Sporlan division of Parker Hannifin Corporation is sponsoring this podcast. Sporlan is the leading manufacturer of HVAC and R components. Using quality materials and craftsmanship, Sporlan maintains a commitment to innovation, manufacturing excellence, service, and support for its customers since 1934. The company is known for its catch-all filter dryers, thermostatic expansion valves, solenoid valves, pressure regulating valves, suction filters, electric valves, controllers, supermarket monitoring solutions, chemicals, smart service tools, ZoomLock Max Press to Connect, and ZoomLock Push to Connect refrigerant fittings. If folks want to learn more, what do they do?
You can go to sporlan.com.
I guess that's Jim and John for Sporlan signing off.
Drinking.
Wait a minute. What did you just say? Make sure I hit record this time?
Yeah, make sure you hit record this time. You almost got fired last time.
It only happened twice. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Advanced Refrigeration Podcast. You're the host, Brett Wetzel and Kevin Compass. What up, man?
What's up?
I don't know. I'm in Cali.
Yeah, I'm bouncing around Chicago, just dealing with fires after fires.
Yeah.
No.
No.
Yesterday, I showed up to start up a CO2 rack. Every time I'm like, yeah, these are the worst electricians I've ever seen. And it just gets worse. We showed up to this job, and they assured us that all the EMS would be done last Friday when somebody was there, and they had till Tuesday. Show up there on Tuesday, and none of it's done.
Nice.
So then they assured us on Wednesday it'll all be done. Bunch of guys are going to be there. We're going to have 6 electricians on it. Show up there. There's 2 coils pulled like 10 feet into a box.
Mm-hmm.
And that is it. So me and my startup guy and the Zero Zone rep pulled the entire POS box.
Wait, product, wire, what?
All 6 coils for return air, suction pressure, valve, suction temp, defrost term, COM.
They don't wait. So they have case controllers for that?
Yes.
But they weren't installed.
They were all on the wall and piped up. None of the EMS was done. Not a single wire was pulled.
Sweet.
So instead of starting up the CO2 rack like we were supposed to, we had to pull all the cabling for this, which in turn took 8.5 hours. By the time we were all done, start checking it and throw the first coil on. It's on. We're dust protected and everything. It's fine. Looking at it, I'm like, okay. Throw next coil on. Smoke rolling. I'm like, what the fuck?
What kind of case controllers?
CC200s.
They'll say it's not so. What's happened?
So, Heatcraft.
Okay, so it wasn't. Okay, cool.
Randomly threw 24 volt coil coils on the pulse valves on random coils. And they're buried to the point where you can't see the tags.
Oh, no.
So we weren't checking them. We were just checking their magnetized and everything. We weren't checking them, but they smoked like instantly. Then like before you could even get the lift over to the coil end, it was smoking. So we ended up on, okay, we had 2 of them that did it, and it's, oh shit. So there's 8 more coils here that aren't hung yet. So we go in there, go to scavenge them in the Connex box.
Yeah.
All 24 volt coils.
Oh no.
Unfortunately, the triac in the CC200 is not fused. So it burned up the triac for the pulse valve.
No more triac.
No more triac. So
that means no Bullseye.
I had 2 CC200s in my truck, thank God.
I love how you have I just got an iPro sitting in there. I got 2 spare 326 just sitting in there.
You got to be prepared. So I had 2 left over from a job, from a case that got destroyed.
Yeah.
And we threw them in there, and I had to end up wiring a transformer and jumpering the triac out for it to be 24 volts. And we had to run it through that. So then we had to run 2 more cables in there. And of course, they're on opposite coil ends. So it wasn't on it was on a row of them, like on one side of the box. It was the other side of the box.
Yeah.
So ran all that, got it all tested. Then we got to fire the fans up, and I want to say 50% of the fans are hitting the fan guards or hitting the shrouds.
Loose and adjusted? What?
No, every motor was crooked.
From
Low
probably
profiles. They were low profiles. Every motor was crooked.
What was crooked on them?
They misaligned it when they drilled the holes or set it up or the beam was out of place, because on one side of the evaporator you have like a 3/8 to half-inch gap. The other side of the evaporator, you could barely fit a piece of paper in it on the fan blade.
Sweet.
So I spent 3 hours moving motor brackets over.
Were you drilling or just having to loosen them up?
No, I had to drill them out, and
then
I had to shoot number 10 self-tappers in there. So
is that the factory fix?
No, what else are you gonna do? You can't move the beam. Like, in order to change the beam, you have to take the whole coil apart.
I know. There's usually those. Yeah. No, I get it.
They're gonna have to come up with something, but then there was like 4 of them that had broken fan blades that the hubs were just busted on. So I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I thank God I had 4 or 5 fan blades in my van. They're the same fan blades for every coil.
I get it, but the fact that you had 4 of them in there, I'm like, I know what van you have, right?
Yeah, it's just everything's just packed.
You don't have a fucking box truck in the back of your shit. You know what I mean? You got the
Jake doesn't work here anymore. We had the bus.
The bus.
He had the extended transit, the big transit.
I want the
one you can't go through drive-thrus with. But no, like I had blades in the truck, so we changed out as many as we could.
Yeah.
Thank God Heatcraft uses the same blade for almost everything. But yeah, so that was that. And then today we started the rack and went to go fire it up, and there wasn't much of a program in there. So that was a problem. And then getting all the CC200s online and dealing with all that. So I wanted to go over some of that stuff. It's like some of the tips and tricks that we've been seeing that we found wrong on these jobs, because we're doing a ton of these Sam's Clubs. And these,
really?
Oh, dude, like they're doing a CO2 rack at every single store out here.
It's amazing.
So they're doing a C-Rack add-on. Now, like some of the stuff we've been seeing, I wanted to go over some of the stuff like to be aware of. Like with the CC200 stuff, the wiring's always wrong. So on the comm line, inverting it and making sure that the one case is set to be a router, because some of the old prints show multiple cases being the router. Now it's
hold on. When you say the router, elaborate on that.
The router is the first case. So like the SC3, where it was like address 7, where that was your case, the RS45 backnet line went to. That is going to be the router case is going to be the one that your line goes to. Now, the only way you know this is if you go into each case controller with the app and figure out which one's the router.
So wait a minute. Oh, because that's right. These are
You
programmed.
can make any of them the router. Okay.
But these are programmed from the factory, though, I thought, yeah?
30% of them.
Oh, okay.
So all the cases that come out have not been programmed. So you got to go in the cloud or call tech support, and you have to get the cloud set up, and you have to download from the cloud on via the app the CC200 program.
Oh.
So that's one thing. Most of the walk-ins are in there. If you're doing like POSs, most of the shop-ins are in there. You just got to download the program off the cloud into them. But the router case, make sure you write down which one it is. It's whatever one you're starting with. Usually it's the first case, and make sure that the Copeland guy marks it with an R at the end of the name. So if it's like CO1A produce, make sure he puts an R at the end. That's the router case.
R. Okay.
So if you see an R at the end, that's the router case. Now you should have one RS-45. Now they're changing it to backend over IP. So everything new is going to be backend over IP. Now everything goes to that router case. That router case has to be set up with the correct baud rate, correct address should be 1, and then you need to go into the E3, go into the control inventory, and hit the little wrench icon and hit the little refresh button. Now what that does is it causes the E3 to do a search for all those pre-programmed BACnet instances names. So if it's CO1A, it's looking for that name in those other BACnet addresses.
Gotcha. So wait a minute. You have to download them from the cloud before you do this, though, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So you have to make sure the program in for each unit is in each CC200.
Correct.
Before.
And you don't address the rest of them.
Okay. So you only have to hook up the router one. Yeah, that has to be the first one to hook up from the communication. Is that the one that has the
RS-45, or it's going to be in the new ones? It's going to be Ethernet cable.
Gotcha.
Backend over IP. Now, where we've been seeing a lot of issues at are the older stores where there was 3 routers or 2 router cases. So they used the E3 as a hub, and they were branching out. We've seen now they've gone back and eliminated those other router cases and just interconnected everything. So it's one Ethernet loop, like an SC3, one Ethernet loop all the way through.
And I forget, I think we asked Danny when he was on here, but I don't remember. How many cases are you allowed to have? Is it more than 39?
I think it's around that number. I'm not 100% positive on that.
See, I thought it was more because if you were doing BACnet over IP, I think it might be more, but maybe I could be wrong.
It may be more. So that's been a big one we've seen. And then starting at the cases, we've had a lot of transducers come out where they're labeled wrong.
Oh, what do you mean? Like in the program?
No, on the transducer. So we had 12 of them that were labeled 650s, where they were either 0 to 200s or 0 to 500s.
What do you mean they were labeled wrong? Like in
so they had the label over the top of the.
Okay. I thought you meant like the actual. So usually, if you look and you pull that off, there's be a small black print on there, right? And I thought
it was labeled wrong.
What? Not just the sticker, but like the
Not
actual
just the sticker, the labeling.
Holy crap!
So those were wrong. So that's another thing you got to watch out for. Every single one of these cases. That's why I'm being super methodical about doing this when we're starting these up. Every single one. Every temp sensor gets dusted to figure out where it is, and watching it on the app, and then making sure that the fans are all right, and making sure the transducer reads properly. Because this has been a problem, and it's random, and that will cause this shit to flood like no other.
Yeah, because it thinks it's at a different saturated than what it really is.
Correct.
Yeah.
And then once you start getting online, it goes pretty easy. If you're bringing a new island online and you bring it in there, you need to go and do it afterwards. Hit the wrench or go into control inventory and go into refrigeration, and it'll bring up all the CC200s. and then hit the wrench, and then hit the refresh button, the little refresh tab. And what it does, it'll search all those BACnet instances. Now, every one of those, I don't fully understand this yet because I haven't had time to sit there and break it down, but I do to a point. Every one of those names, like, okay, if it's rack C, so C, and then if it's 01,
you're talking about the numbers and the addressing?
Correct.
Okay.
Each one of those, it ends up being a addressing number.
Gotcha.
So if it's like C, it'll be like 3, and then if it's 2, it'll be 2, and then A will be 1, so it'll be 321. And then this is the same with the SC3 controller too.
Yeah, that we talked about before, and we actually brought that thing up. I could never find the CC200 addressing, and the Canadian said he was going to help us hook us up, but I haven't seen that yet.
Pretty sure it should be close to the same, I would think, because it's following the BACnet rules, right?
Yeah, but I don't know if do BACnet rules really care about cases and number of cases? I don't know.
I think it's the wording per se.
Maybe.
But yeah, so that's another thing to look out for is when you're doing these is make sure the naming is correct inside the app. Make sure it is 100% named the way it is in the E3. Or else it's not going to pull it in. You're going to have some like random case it pulls in.
When you say when you see the like for the circuit, for the actual circuit, or underneath the application for the CC200, which one? Or both? Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Or it doesn't pull it in.
Gotcha.
And then the other thing is making sure that all these sensors are right, because every single one of them, anything that's factory mounted, I don't trust.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Factory does great things.
The fans and all the POS boxes, like the 2-speed fans, I've seen those all wired wrong. They're not using them. So
are we still? I don't understand why they're still even doing that. Because like every person that we talk to, they're like, yeah, we have them, but we're not going to use them. You know,
yeah, it's literally I don't think they even get used unless it's like a gas station, maybe.
That's what I'm saying. Like refrigeration, like what we do, right? That shit stays on all the time, right? They never shut off except for defrost, but you still need it at the high speed, especially if it's a cooler, in order to still defrost. So what is the purpose of doing it?
Literally the only customer I've seen use it is Target.
But they should never shut off. You have EPRs on every single damn circuit. Yep. So it's not like it's ever going to freaking satisfy.
It's the most pointless waste of money. Like, just put a single speed ECM motor in.
Yeah, because then how much are those to get, and how much are you going to wait?
$620 for an evaporator fan motor.
Crap on a cracker. Are you freaking serious?
Yeah. That's it's super annoying having to go around and pull those all the time. They get missed, and like you're looking at it. And then the other thing is the air door. So you found it?
Found something.
You're redeeming yourself as Jamie?
Dude, last week just sucked. I don't know what the hell my problem was. I have no freaking idea. Like I said, like going through that with like actually editing that was painful, because I realized how bad I was screwing up, and then realizing that because we were doing good, man. Like it sounded good, and then you're like, we're not recording. I'm like, what? And then I looked up and read, and I'm like, son of a bitch. Yeah. Live and learn. You got to be screwed up sometimes, dude. We were both tossed last week, man. I don't know about you, but I was freaking exhausted.
Yeah, last week was rough. I was doing an EMS conversion, and it was rough.
See, how do you justify that? You said roof and rough, and now there is a difference. See? Fuck you. I'm just saying. All right, share screen, entire screen. There we go. Share. I don't know if it has the whole thing, but there we go.
Yeah, so you can see like the ID rack A, then the circuit lineup 03, then the case ID is B.
But all that stuff should be programmed from like when you download. What I'm saying is once you download it from the web, it should roll down into there. Yes. Yes, as long as the guy that did his homework and did it properly. That's the only thing you got to worry about. So there's your rack identifier. And like you're right, man. This is exactly just about the same as the... What the hell just happened? I don't know. I pressed stupid screen. You just told me that I redeemed myself, and then I just totally went in the dumpster. Awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, it's fairly close to the SE3.
Yeah, so you see rack select, LID, CID, RTR. There you go. So that's basically what that is. Excuse me. Lineup ID, rack A, and so you're doing transcritical rack. So there's was it labeled A and B or A what C?
Yep, it's just a medium temp only. These are only medium temp only ads.
Okay, I didn't know if it was a medium. It was a booster. It's not booster. Okay, not a booster. All right.
Weird thing in this zero zone rack though, they have liquid injection but no hot gas injection. But
I don't know why they do that.
You need the opposite. I don't need liquid injection. I need hot gas injection.
Yeah, but like you don't have if you don't have any low temp compressors chumming away into there,
you would never need liquid injection,
right? You're gonna have if anything, like you said, you have potentially lower superheat at times, so you want to make sure you're not killing those compressors, right?
You have the opposite problem. Now, I will say this though: those zero zone racks, when they do those things are the best running racks with the Copelands on there. They're so quiet. They don't vibrate at all. Like they barely use any oil. We were running on 6 coils and we were watching this thing. The oil solenoid pulsed 4 times in 3 hours.
Dude, on that trainer, I don't think I've ever seen the oil solenoid pulse.
Yeah. And like these things barely moved any oil.
No.
At all.
Even running transcritical, those freaking compressors do not consume nearly as much oil as some of the others. Why are you laughing?
Nothing. But
I said udders.
Yeah, but yeah, that's one thing. And then as you're doing these, just pay attention because I've seen multiple rack manufacturers kind of mess this up. If they are using the Copelands and they have the baud rate on the what do you call it? They're not oil safeties. They're basically a glorified discharge temp sensor. The CoreSense.
Oh, the CoreSense modules?
Yeah.
Okay.
So those, a lot of times they want to run them at 9600 baud for some god awful reason.
Oh my Jesus! Yes, I know.
So you can't put them on. You end up like with this fucked up situation with the COM ports. So I've been running them at 19.2 and they've been running great. I've always ran them at 19.2.
It doesn't make any sense. It's transmitting so much data back. You know what I mean? You'd think that it would lose some packets. You know what I mean?
So we had this problem today, and this is the first, and I've been hearing about this. So E3 randomly dropping boards offline. I own that. 3 boards on, off, on,
Weird.
off.
Weird.
So talking to one of the Copeland guys, and we're going through. He's a changer from 9600 to 19.2. Just goes away. Gone. Everything gone. Perfect.
Really?
Problems. So I did this at another store. Gone. No more COM problems. I just don't know if the E3 can't handle the 9600 baud anymore, and it's just I don't understand like why 96 has been a thing for it's 2024. Like I'd rather see the faster data anyway.
I don't need dial up for my data.
It basically is at that point. You don't do that. You don't free up with the Copeland racks. You don't free up that COM port to have the iPro on it with it. Or else you got to run the iPro at 9600 too.
Oh, no, don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Can you have, so I don't know. No, you can't have the iPro on the same thing as the IOFlex board, right?
No, it's got to be on the same as the compressors though, because it's Modbus.
Oh, no,
Yes.
that makes sense to just run at 19.2. Because it probably runs the same communication protocol, right?
It does.
Same language, right?
They both need to be inverted, and then same thing with the CC200s.
Yeah, so just do it. Just do it.
So the CC200s have been inverted. No, don't. It's just your black and white or red and black at the E2 or E3. No shield landed on the E3. It's landed to ground.
All right, Jamie's going to attempt something. All right,
boy.
I'm just making sure I'm not going to screw this up. Share screen. I'll have to spend 12 weeks learning stuff then if I can't do this. You know what I mean? Screen share. Yeah, no, I'm an asshole. There we go. So there's your communication for your CC200 there. So you have white, black, and white.
Yeah. So
No shield. No shield.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know if this is the most current one, but a lot of times, I don't know. It depends on, I don't want to be a jerk, but it depends on the week. Sometimes they'll tell you to put a drop resistor on there. Yeah.
So when did all these manufacturers start grounding the IO network?
Like, I don't know.
Like, when did they become a thing? I see more issues on like comm issues when I go up to a store and the IONet shield is grounded at every board. Like, it picks up noise.
Yeah. No, I
Like,
agree.
that is the first thing I do if I have rolling comm losses and it's been random. I will cut every one of those grounds off. And
Yeah, but who's telling them to do that? Is that a Copeland? Because
I don't know.
No, because I don't see it here. Like, they tell you not to on every single case controller, right? At least for the Modbus here.
I'm talking IONet. Like, that's how all these racks are coming out on the IONet with the shield grounded at every single board.
It's silly.
I don't get it. But
Today's episode is sponsored by the RefraShield RDP series differential pressure monitors from Westermeyer Industries, now available for transcritical CO2 systems in addition to other common pressures and refrigerants. When the filter element of your coalescing oil separator is contaminated, it can hurt your system's performance and efficiency. But how do you know when it's time to replace that filter? Wait too long to replace, and you could end up with a nasty filter blowout. But replacing too often can be a waste of time and money. The answer is installing a differential pressure monitor. The RDP series differential pressure monitors, including the new transcritical CO2 model, are available now from Westermeyer Industries. To find out more information, email sales at westermeyerin.com. That's WESTERMEYERIN.com.
and the other thing is making sure that these iPros are wired correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And be careful looking at the manual, because there's a difference between the driver they show in the manual and then what's been coming out.
When you say the driver, you talk which?
So there's a different driver on that they've been sending out for all these. Let's see if I can find it.
The driver for the actual valve?
Yes. You got the valve 1, valve 2, like the XEV valve. It's the XEV valve driver.
Okay.
So there's an EXV valve driver that used to be in the manual. Well, the XEV valve driver is wired differently than the one they show in the manual.
Oh, okay.
So that is one that has got me, because I wired a bunch of valves in the beginning the way that they show them on the print in the XEV valve driver, or the Hold on. I'm finding it. I'm being Jamie and I suck.
No preparation. None at all.
Okay, so the XEV valve driver. So like this is, I've been dealing with Danfoss stuff. So Danfoss valves are white, black, red, green. It shows it opposite on the in the manual.
Oh, you're talking about the iPro book.
Correct.
Oh yeah. I saw that.
So it's the EXD driver was the old one, and the EXV driver is the new one.
Okay, so hold on. This is the one that you speak of, yes? No.
It's like a dumbed down version of that.
Okay, so it doesn't have all the display, right? It's just the blank off.
It's
Okay.
an EXV valve driver.
EXV 22.
I mean XEV. I'm sorry, my dyslexic.
Mother of God, XEV. There we go. No wonder why Jamie screwed it up this time, because I had it.
This is the
Oh, that was helpful. That was helpful.
little picture.
XEV. All right, when I finally found it, because like you're just the gas. All right, so never mind. Anyway,
So that is wired differently than they show in the manual. So just be careful of that, and be careful with the manufacturer prints, because I have 2 racks. The one we started today, the print was wrong.
And that goes the same for the wire, even the powering. There's some you're not supposed to have those drivers. I'm sorry, the iPros powered up with the transformer going to ground. And there are some manufacturers where their print shows you going to ground, but the manufacturer's drawings from Copeland for their installation guide says no ground bad. Don't do that, or you're going to need a PIB and maybe some other things.
Yeah, and making sure that these valves are the correct steps and holding current. And I don't go by what anything says in a manufacturer book. Like, I look it up what Danfoss says, because you need to pay attention to what Danfoss says, because all it takes is somebody to print it wrong in the book or look at the wrong valve when they put the steps in there.
Yeah.
Like, we had it, was it last week? We had the wrong holding currents in there, and it was spinning the high pressure valve open.
See, I got to ask someone, because I don't actually understand the holding current. I don't understand when you make it higher, when you make it lower, unless you do and you can explain.
So as far as I know, it's the way the valve drives and holds it, because we had the high pressure valve spin open on the one rack. Like, it physically was shut, and the driver burned out and it opened up.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But hold on, those valves typically don't,
unless it pushed it up.
But when they're not moving, they're not pulsing voltage. That's where I'm confused here on the.
I don't know how it works. If it's like a.
That's what I'm asking. I don't know if you were explaining it, because I think holding current would be something that like the spring return,
like a brake almost.
Yeah, but none of these are spring return, right? Once they pulse to a certain rate, they don't put power on there and it just stops. I thought the holding current was the amount of power that it took to open it and close it, is what I thought.
Well, that makes sense.
Because someone called me up and I had asked, they were asking me all these questions about, what the hell was it? They were asking me about the settings for the program. And I'm like, did you make sure that you can open it and close it with an SMA 12? And he's not yet. And I was like, because he was asking me about the steps and that, I said, maybe you should make sure everything's good with everything else, that it's actually opening up, because he was starting up a new store. And I was concerned with the fact that his boxes were at 50 degrees and the suction was already down to minus 15 or something like that. So he had a really high TD on the coil, and it was a brand new box. And you, as well as I do, a lot of times when you're starting up big facilities like that, you have to step down the suction pressure. And so that's what I first thought the problem was. And then he gets back to me and he's like, no, the holding current was too low. So it wasn't when, I guess the cord on the driver itself was like 100 feet or something really long. So they needed more holding current, I think, to open up the valve.
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? But it probably has something to do with the size of the valve and how much like current it needs to actually turn that shit, whether it's going to close or open, how much torque essentially that it needs. And I might be totally like speaking out my ass, but it can make sense a little bit.
No, that makes sense. Pretty sure that high pressure valve we had that opened up was just fucked.
Maybe. I don't know.
100% makes sense. But I know if the holding current's wrong, or we've had to bump it up a little bit, and for like you said, for longer wire runs, if it's wrong, it won't drive.
And that's my point. That's why I'm wondering if that's really what it is. You know what I mean? Is that the reason why? Because it doesn't have maybe it might be not opening or closing all the way, and that's why they end up turning up the holding current. Because I need to talk to who's really smart with that. There's a guy named RK that works for Hussman, and then there was another cat that used to work for Hussman that did a lot of the CoreLink technical troubleshooting, and he left to go somewhere else. But that dude was brilliant. Like yes. Oh,
he works for Hussman, or not Hussman. He works for Train.
Yeah, I was gonna say he worked for Hussman, and then he left somewhere.
Awesome.
Oh, dude, he's brilliant. Absolutely freaking brilliant.
Yeah,
I was like, you flat lever.
Yeah, when the CoreLinks first came out, I made him come to a store because it was like absolutely aborted and I had no idea what I was doing. It was the first time seeing him. I'm like, but no, like, I think you're right about the holding current thing. But that's been a problem on a lot of these jobs, is that the settings on those valves are wrong.
I wonder if anyone like legitimately has a document that says, okay, this has something to do with the holding current. You might need to increase it if X.
I want to put a document together on how all these valves are wired on all these different valve drivers and what the settings are supposed to be.
As far as you're talking about not just the steps, but also like
Yep,
this
holding
holding current
currents.
works for this. But like I said, I think they might differ a little bit based off the length of the wire run, though.
Correct, but like a baseline setting. Because next week I'm converting 4 326As to 2 valve controllers.
Someone was asking you how to do that on the internet. You didn't freaking respond. You're
I
a
did
jerk.
respond.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I don't respond at 10 o'clock at night because I'm passed out sleeping.
It's because you wake up at 3:30 in the morning.
Yeah. But no, like next week I'm doing 4 racks from 326As to 2 valve controllers. So I got to figure all that out. I've already done it once. Can't be that bad. But back to the Schmams Club stuff that we've been seeing.
Yeah.
A lot of the case issues have been just sensors in the wrong spots, and we've been seeing a ton of miswired valves.
Really? What are they using? What are they using for the expansion?
So 40% of the valves come out wired wrong.
Which valves?
SER valves.
Oh,
So
okay.
like 40% that are going to the core links or the core links, the CC200s are wired wrong. Either the manufacturer sends it out, the EPR and the ESR or the stepper are crossed, or the wires and the terminal blocks they're using, they aren't stripped
Oh,
and they're just shoved in there,
that's awesome.
or the pins are bent in the valve.
That's awful.
Yeah. Or they just plain out didn't run the wires for anything. So it's been multiple different cases like that.
It's really frustrating.
It is. It takes hours. It takes a case that should be like 30 minutes and turns it into a 4-hour event. But
Well, who doesn't want to have fun with for an hour?
yeah, that's one thing to be aware of. And most electricians can't make Cat 5 cable ends.
Yeah, how's that going with that?
Terrible, dude. Like, I would almost rather just them not make the ends and just pull the wire and let us make the ends.
But isn't it easier now? Because so someone actually told me about these ends that exist.
Pass-throughs.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. And you're like, oh yeah, you didn't know about pass-throughs, and that kind of makes that idiot proof.
It does, but they always fuck up the wires because nobody can take 2 seconds and throw a cable checker on and check both ends of the wire.
But why do you even have to do that? If you have all the wires through the pass-through and you've already shoved it through there, you should have no issue.
Because apparently people are colorblind.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. What's that? With the cat's name from the Hangover. Wire colors that I got gray, and light gray, and dark gray. Oh
So-
shit, I'm colorblind.
My main partner at work is colorblind.
Oh, that's right. I'll make a meme for him.
When we were messing with him, he was grabbing sensors off my cart, and he goes, "I go grab the purple sensors for the return air," and he's like holding the blue one and a purple one in his hand, and
That's awful.
we're all just dying laughing.
You're an awful person, because at least what the minimal thing you could do is just put a letter P on there.
Oh
Is it
no,
in-
no, no!
Is it in the package, or is it like just outside randomly?
It was bags, so it was bags of sensors.
There's
So
the part numbers on there. You can't screw it up that.
no, they were just random loose bags that I pulled out of the truck. So yeah, that's what we've been seeing a lot of, and then just making sure your programming's right in the E3s and going through everything. I will say this though, like using a laptop is a lot easier with those E3s.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot smoother. I like that controller on a laptop.
Yeah. Have you used it with a tablet on Wi-Fi? On
I
Wi-Fi?
haven't used it with a tablet, but I use it on my phone all the time on Connect Plus, and I like my phone better than using the actual controller.
No, not even like literally just like hooking a router directly to it.
Yeah,
Because
that's,
the range is freaking awesome, and you can get, I don't know, it was like 300 feet or something like that with the one router I got.
so do you have that little nano router?
I do.
That's what I was using. Except the cable that comes with it, the door cuts it in half.
Yeah, it does. It doesn't like it very much. So I typed some stuff in and it said position holding. The holding current ensures that the stepper motor maintains its position against external forces or loads. Without the current, the motor could lose position due to mechanical disturbances and inherent torque in the system. So that kind of makes sense, right? If it's a bigger valve, you might need a more holding current, right? And then I don't know. I might know. What sucks is with Dennis's people.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to know. That's their thing.
Yeah, let's talk to Mr. Wood.
Yeah, that's a question for them. But yeah, that's what we've been seeing a lot of is incorrect valve settings and incorrect iPro settings. So
yeah, so here it also says this. Stepper motors generate holding torque are when they're powered but not moving. The torque is proportional to the holding current. Maintaining a significant holding current is crucial for applications when the motor needs to hold a position under a load. Depending on how much load it has, it's also going to affect it. It might like walk its way one way or another.
So it makes sense what we had when it was super high pressure was opening up.
That makes total sense then. But see, I thought that it only pulses that voltage like when it needs to move. So that's where the disconnect
is. It may
is.
Put a little bit of current on it to keep it.
I don't know. We need to talk to someone.
Yeah, we need to get a little bit more clarification on that.
Yeah, so, I'll call Dennis. I'll see if I can get someone on here.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to talk about. And then you got anything to add?
No, not at all. I'm exhausted. I'm waking up so I'm on Cali time this week. And so I'm waking up at 7 and going to bed at maybe. Yeah. So I'm all screwed up. I'm actually here for 2 weeks. So I have to go do laundry and such. And I'll be working at the training center this weekend.
I'm super thrilled this week. That was the smoothest a CO2 rack has started up for me in forever.
Yeah.
Nothing happened. Nothing blew up. Nothing. It just started up. I charged it 20 minutes and it was good to go. I shoved, what was it, like 600 pounds of gas in it in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I didn't hear the whole shit show thing. Like usually you go on a diatribe for about 15 minutes about how much
it was smooth. Like I walked in, knew the electricians weren't going to have it done because they're retarded. And
you hopefully them personally, not that they're going to hear this and be like, yeah, we're going
to. I hate that company. They're god awful.
There he is. I was missing you.
God. Yeah, I knew that was going to be bad, and then we just worked and got it done, and it just that rack started up like butter, just butter.
You have that kid helping you?
No, I have my main guy helping me.
Gotcha.
The other startup guys helping me, Chris. So I had another journeyman with me that knows exactly what needs to get done. So it was just going through and weird one, Heatcraft condenser.
What about
EBM motors? So it is 10 to 0 volts. 10 volts is full off.
Okay.
0 volts is full speed.
Mm-hmm.
When you unplug the CBC board, they shut off.
Maybe they don't have their own onboard 10 volts.
0 volts is full speed. 10 volts is full off.
So what volt?
When you unplug the plug from the board, they go to 0.
Like the 0. Wait, hold on. When you say unplug the board, are you talking about the signal going to it?
When you unplug the signal coming out of the 4AO board, they go off. When you have 10 volts at them, they're off.
Is there any other external voltage that goes to it?
Nope. They're all daisy chained to each other off of AI1N, AI1N, AI1N. Now, they are jumped from ground to DI2 or DI1, which I think that is the 10 to 0. But when it has nothing plugged into the board, if you take the wires off the board, the motors all shut off.
So you're saying EBM, but EBM is MPAPs.
Yeah, they're MPAPs.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, they're MPAPs.
Sure, because I'm looking shit up and I see EBM as far as MPAPs, then I was like, oh, okay.
They're MPAPS motors. I was gonna have we were in the Zero Zone guy reach out to Heatcraft about it, but it doesn't see even an inkling of an electrical circuit, and it just goes full speed, or it just shuts completely off.
You got the model number that you can?
I don't. I'll get it tomorrow. I was exhausted.
Super nice startup and didn't have it.
It was super nice startup, and I was just helping. I was just there to help. I was there for moral support. And I think next week I'm doing one of those glycol CO2 conversions.
Oh, for the Walmart.
Yeah. Then they're getting cases Monday, so I already set them, so we'll see how it goes. They're like 18 feet tall.
The what?
The skids.
Yeah. You're talking about the secondary liquid pump overfeed stuff?
Yep. And then the glycol skid.
Yeah, it's funny that they're that tall because they had to fit a certain footprint, apparently, from what my understanding was.
They're ridiculously tall.
They are. And the controller, you have to get a ladder to get to the Corel controller or whatever. But the liquid vapor separator is teeny tiny compared to Yeah, so we'll have to talk about that offline, but yeah.
Compared to a normal store,
it's usually 60 inches to 80 inches on the Dover ones. These ones are teeny tiny. Like I said, I'll talk to you offline about it. So,
all right, guys.
Everyone have a great night. We'll talk to you later.